So I was watching Chris Hayes, and they were talking about the George Clooney Hillary Clinton fundraiser, and that there was a protest fundraiser held on the same street. And instead of a $300,000 per plate, it was $27. Huh? Look at that. So as the Hillary Clinton's motorcade went by, some people threw dollar bills at an SUV. And some people thought that was misogynistic. Anyway, they brought on some people to talk about this on Chris Hayes. We'll talk about that part of it in another video. But this part of it is Chris Hayes brings out some people to talk about it on his show, Money in Politics. And let's watch the introduction, shall we? Let's watch the introduction.
Joining now, Rebecca Traister, writer-at-large for New York Magazine.
Okay, she's a writer-at-large for New York Magazine. Did she also write a book?
Author of All the Single Ladies.
Okay, there she goes. There you go. All right, so she's from New York Magazine, and she's the author of a book, and there you go. So she's on television to give her because she's a big thinker. Who's our next guest?
Tara Dowdell, political consultant, former contestant on The Apprentice.
You could have just stopped at political consultant. You didn't have to go on. Plus, she was on a game show. Hey, up next is John Podesta and former Jeopardy contestant. Why are we listing people's game shows? Isn't that weird? Hey, we have a political consultant on, and plus he was also on Scattergories. So I just think that's funny, but maybe, so she's using this, so maybe she requested that they use that in her introduction. She's a former Apprentice contestant. Oh, boy. Hey, let's bring on Ed Helms, political consultant. Anyway, we could just go on forever. Okay, so so let's listen to what maybe she has something interesting to say about money in politics from the Apprentice contestant. Maybe she has something interesting to say. We'll see.
I think what's interesting is that, of course, we need to get the money out of politics. I don't think there's anyone who doesn't fully understand that, maybe particularly on the Democratic side. But let me say this.
First of all, there's no one that doesn't understand that, particularly on a Democratic side. I think that's what the whole frickin' race is about, that there's one guy getting money out of politics. But it's not just money. It's not money from individual people, from workers, from regular middle working class people. That's not the money problem. The money problem is that 50% of all super PAC comes from 60 people. 60 people give 40. We just found that out. Give 40% of all super PAC money. So it's the undue influence of corporate cash and stuff like that. So that's what we're talking about. So it's not just money. So here we go.
Bernie Sanders is raising money, too. Right. It's not as if Hillary Clinton is the only person in the race raising money.
So that's what's... Oh, so they're both raising money. And I never heard the term false equivalence, so I'm just going to pretend like it's the same thing. It's not that they're raising money. It's how they're raising money. Bernie Sanders, $27 a clip. Okay.
While he has a lot of individual donors, a lot of his donors are big money people, particularly from the tech industry, contributes to his campaign. Well, and they're not doing that out of the kindness of their heart. The bottom line is the process needs to be changed, but it needs to be changed for everyone.
Okay, so she made a bullshit point and then a false equivalency. The bullshit point was that everybody sees that we need to get money out of politics. No, the voters do. She's right about that the voters do. But on the Democratic side, half the people on the Democratic side, the half supporting Hillary Rodham Clinton, are literally saying things like this. Hey, can you give me evidence? Where's proof that money influenced her? That's what Republicans say. So I'm telling you, that's what they're saying. I don't hear Hillary Rodham Clinton saying, you're right, it's gross that I took all that money from Wall Street. I don't hear her saying that. I hear her saying Barack Obama did the same thing. So that's an inaccurate assertion that she just made. And by the way, I hope you appreciate I said assertion and not assertion. So, and then she follows it up with, hey, they're both raising a lot of money, so it's the same. The bottom line is we have to get back. No. No, it's not the same. That's the difference. So when Hillary Clinton goes and gives a speech for Verizon and gets $225,000 for an hour speech, that's not the same thing as Bernie Sanders taking individual donations from workers. It's not the same thing. Okay, so this is what we're talking about. Okay, so she goes on. Here's Chris Hayes. He's going to push back.
I want to get to you on this, John, but I would say this. I mean, I think the Sanders people will point out that they're not using, big money super PACs
and they're not using big money super PACs. And I know I'm being nitpicky now, but it's really kind of a weird way to kind of be talking right now. Instead of saying, well, they would say that they're not using big money super PACs. And who talks like that? They would say, hey, we're not using big money super PACs. And you know why they would say that? Because they're not. They wouldn't just like, well, I guess there's a thing there about the super PAC. They could say that, and they could say that. That's a weird way that's a way to say the fact in a dismissive way, in a way that doesn't land your point. Okay, let's see if he does it again.
They are sort of setting all sorts of records for the average donation, right?
So they are sort of setting. Sort of? Are they or aren't they? Sort of. They're sort of setting. So they would say this thing I'm going to say dismissively, and then they sort of are setting. So I'm glad they brought on that contestant from The Apprentice. That was really good. She said two bullshit things, and then Chris got to push back on them in a bullshitty way.